Hello everyone, this is Caleb Simpson, and you are watching my walkthrough for The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild for Nintendo Wii U and Switch. So you know that one field in the middle of Hyrule that gives you the stink eye constantly, and then if you so much as glance its way, it tries to murder you? That's right, Hyrule Field, we're coming for you. That's what this video is all about. Now before we head there though, I decided I should stock up on some royal bows in particular, and might as well get some royal broadswords as long as I'm at it. I'm doing this by hunting Hinox. There are two of them that are pretty easy to get to early on in the game. One of them is at Heron Lake, which is just southwest of the Faron Tower, so you can just sail there and land on top of its chest really easy. Otherwise, if you do drop down and you don't have enough elevation, the other ways is you can get on top of its hand, let its hand pull you onto its chest, or you can wake it up and then shoot it in the eye to have it fall down on the ground, just pick up the things around its neck. But yes, these particular Hinox will always have a royal broadsword and a royal bow, even at the beginning of the game. So even if you haven't completed many Divine Beasts yet, and the world level of the items are still pretty low in general, you can still get royal bows and royal broadswords from these particular enemies. You don't even have to kill them, you just grab the stuff and run away. These will reappear every blood moon, and since I've had a blood moon recently and my durability is running kind of low on the equipment I have, I figured I might as well stock up real quick. I'm not going to talk about this anymore, I've talked about it repeatedly throughout the walkthrough. I just wanted to briefly mention it for those of you who may not have been following along for all of the previous videos, just so that you know the option. But anyways, moving on, we're heading to Hyrule Field at long last. Alright, so to start out our expedition through Hyrule Field, I'm going to begin at the Outskirts Stable, which is just northwest of the Great Plateau. It's one of the first stables you can unlock, and it's pretty easy to get there. But this is really close to some of the first items we're going to be grabbing, so I'd recommend you just start here. And because this is probably a stable you already have unlocked is part of why I say that. Anyways, as long as we're passing through, I do want to mention the fact that you can feed meat to dogs. Anytime you see a dog near a stable or near any other towns, you can feed them meat, and they will lead you over to hidden chests. However, just so you know, if you already know the location of those chests, you can just go there directly. You don't need the dog's help. The dog doesn't unlock it or anything, it just informs you of some secrets. So that's always just a cool thing, though. So if you want to be nice to dogs, you can feed them meat, and those will also lead to optional rewards. I'm more so showing this just because I think it's cool. It's kind of like a fun Easter egg that you can even do this. But again, if you know where the chests are, then it doesn't matter. You can just totally ignore the dogs and skip past them. I'm not going to be showing them moving forward. I just did want to talk about it real quick because it's awesome. Now, what's more important nearby, though, is there is a side quest we can complete. Now, most of the side quests, in my opinion, have kind of garbage rewards. I will be showing how to complete all of them, but I do think that a lot of them are kind of a waste of time. This one, however, I think is worthwhile. You want to speak with Eliza, who's hanging out near this tree, and she is waiting the hero to come and sweep her off her feet or some such thing. But anyways, wanted to go ahead and tell her that you are the hero now that we have the Master Sword in our possession. So, as long as you have already acquired the Master Sword, she will then reward you with a Star Fragment. Now, this is a pretty worthwhile reward. Star Fragments are kind of a pain to collect. You can farm for them, and I will be showing how to do that later on in this walkthrough, but it is kind of time-consuming and it's obnoxious. So, I do feel like this reward is pretty nice because it can save you a lot of time. So of the different rewards for various side quests, this is one of my favorites because it's just it's really easy to do, it's right next to a warp point and everything, and so there's no reason not to do it in my opinion. But yeah, since I waited until after I had the Master Sword to start doing all of the Hyrule Field stuff anyways, because it does double damage to the stalkers and it makes this whole area a lot easier, I figure it makes sense to just go ahead and complete that side quest in passing. Alright, so at long last we're heading over to Coliseum Ruins, oh yeah! All we're doing though is just grabbing two of the chests here. There is a couple chests we can grab, however, I only think it's really worth getting the ones that are super good rupee value. So I'm going to grab the nearby bomb arrows, because you can buy them and stuff, but since they're convenient and we're in the area anyways, might as well, and as long as I'm in that spot too, I'm going to go ahead and grab a nearby Korok seed. Now, whenever you do end up going to Coliseum Ruins, I do recommend that you come from above, because you can climb over that wall really easily, and it's a lot easier to just sail downwards through the levels, rather than trying to work your way up, and especially once the enemies detect you, it's a lot easier to take out the ones from above, because the ones below don't know that you're there yet. Yeah, here you just gotta, like, do a little bit of... But in all seriousness, just below that chest there is a Korok you can grab real quick if you like. Now, more importantly though, down below there is one of the pieces of the DLC armor. This is only available if you have purchased the DLC, and it is one of the better ones. Honestly, if you're going to be, like, just getting a couple pieces of armor, or you just want to kind of rush through the game and you don't really want to, like, explore everywhere, then this is one of the armor pieces I would recommend, because it's really good. It's very easy to get. Unfortunately, this Lionel can be pretty scary, so if you want to avoid it, I would recommend you do is go, like, hide behind one of these pillars before it sees you. As long as it just, like, detects you for a little bit, but doesn't actually, like come over and inspect you, or you're not, like, standing in the open for too long, it should ignore you after a little bit, and it gives you enough time you can run over and grab this chest. So just pull it out with Magnesis. It's over here on the north side, and this leads to getting the Phantom Helmet. With that, you can go ahead and leave here. You can either warp away, or you can run out, and if you hide behind the pillars, again, you can wait for a little bit before the Lionel to stop detecting you, and that gives you enough time to run away. Also, if you do already have Majora's Mask, you can run through here, and this does make it harder for the Lionel to detect you, at least at first anyways, and that's another potential option as well. Now, I personally am not scared of this particular Lionel. I can totally take it. I have way more than enough health and armor and weapons at this point. I can easily take this guy no problem. But I'm primarily showing a stealthy method because some of you watching this video right now might have been, like, just leaving the Great Plateau. And so you have 3 hearts and you have, like, no armor and you just have Boko clubs, you know, and it's just awful. So you might have enough durability and weapons to kill him, but, like, it's not really worth it at that point anyways. And so, like, I feel like this, what I'm showing on screen is more practical for people that are in that situation. Anyways, another thing you can do to get through Coliseum ruins or to get through Hyrule Field is you can just save scum. And what I mean by that is you can save and then just, like, you know, the Lionel starts seeing you, so you save, and then you load that game. And what'll happen is then you reappear right where you were, but then the enemy has to rediscover you. So they turn to you and are like, all over again. And then it takes them a little bit before they start attacking, and then you just steadily run away and save again, and then load that game again, and you just steadily work your way forward. In that way, you can run through Hyrule Field and not have to worry about the Guardian Stalkers because they can't actually ever hit you. Because before they ever actually fully discover you and shoot at you, then you just save and load over and over again, steadily working your way through Hyrule Field from one side to the other. And this will reset the position of the stalker that is nearby. Or rather, it'll be in the same position where you left it, but it will have to reset its discovering you and starting to attack you all over again. Now, at this point, if you have not acquired Majora's Mask, you should do that real quick in passing. It is just northeast of the Great Plateau at Colomo Garrison Ruins, and it's just right there at the corner, and you can use Magnesis to pull it up. So totally grab that super valuable item. What it does is it makes you invisible to enemies, so you can skip a lot of enemy encounters by just running right past them. It only works on specific enemies, but it's also the most versatile of the invisibility masks. So you can buy some specific ones from Kilton as well at the Fang and Bone shop that is available after you have discovered him the first time. But the Majora's Mask will do the exact same thing, but it does it for all of the 4 enemy types. So Moblins and Bokoblins and Lizalfos and Lionels. It makes you invisible to all of them, which is super nice. Similarly, right next to that, just west of Lake Colomo, there is the location of one of the memories. This one is called Resolve and Grief. So if you have not grabbed this one yet, you should totally do that right now, too. I did get this earlier on in the walkthrough. So next, I'm heading north over to Exchange Ruins. Now, in that area, in the bottom left corner, there is a little pool. You can totally grab the chest there, which is worth 50 rupees, so that's kind of nice. But in the middle of Exchange Ruins, there is this, like, dilapidated foundation, and there is a metal chest there you can pull up, which leads to getting the Tingle Hood. So next, I'm heading over to Hyrule Garrison Ruins, which is just a little bit to the east, and it's just southeast of the central tower itself. But anyways, in this area, there's several different chests you can grab. However, the only ones that are worthwhile, in my opinion, is the far bottom left building and the far bottom right building. There is a stalker that patrols around here too, but if you just use the nearby walls and stuff for cover to block its line of sight, then it will stop attacking you anyways, and that's not a big deal. Now, if you hide for long enough, especially if it's chasing after you, it will abandon the chase after a little while, and then you can just continue on your merry way. Following the road, continuing on towards the northeast, we will arrive at Maeve Village Ruins. Just watch out for some of the guardians along the way, but it's a pretty straight shot. It shouldn't be that big of a problem. Now, once you arrive, there is a dead guardian as soon as you get there that is right next to a puddle here at the south side. And what you want to do is use Cryonis on the puddle to lift the dead guardian up. And this will reveal some goodies underneath that you can totally grab. But on the right side, there is a chest that you can use Magnesis on. As soon as it's visible enough, that's all you need. So just lift it up. This will flip the guardian over, and you'll get the Tingle Tights. Now, there is a couple different chests nearby you can grab that have arrows. You might as well. They're free and they're easy to grab, so you might as well. And then the only other one that's worth noting is the fact that there is one in the top left corner that has a silver ruby. Unfortunately, getting over to it will probably get you seen by the Guardian Stalker that's nearby, but it's easy enough to avoid. And honestly, we have enough cover here. You can totally just distract it for a little bit and then hide behind cover, and it's totally fine. You can run away. From here, it's pretty easy to continue on towards the northwest to reach the Sacred Ground Ruins. Now, this whole area of northern Hyrule Field is filled with Guardian Stalkers, which are pretty terrifying. However, we have several different ways we can deal with them. Now, you can just charge right at them with your horse and hit them with a weapon at the last moment, and this will flip them upside down, which stuns them for a while, and you can just run away. So that's a really easy way to just not have to deal with them at all. Just charge at them. Otherwise, you can swing wide at them, and hopefully they don't see you. Unfortunately, we are in a big field, so chances are they will see you anyways. One of them will, at least, and you can hide behind cover, and one way you can do this to, make them stop following you is simply save and load, because when you load your game, the game will, reset. They'll be, looking around for you again, but because you're out of sight, they'll then just give up the chase, and they'll walk away after a moment. So that's one way you can trick them, is just simply save and load. Now, if you want to defeat them, I think the best method overall is to shoot them in the eye with an arrow, and then break their legs, and this will make it so they can't move, and it also stuns them every time you break a leg too, which is really awesome. Also, if you have the Master Sword in your possession at this point, if you wear it when you're around Guardians, it will glow, and it does 60 damage rather than the normal 30, which is awesome. You can demolish these guys super fast with that thing. It's great. I was feeling lazy, so I didn't bother to swap my weapons, but you should totally do that in general. By the way, you'll notice on screen that a blood moon is happening, and this is kind of crazy because it's still in the middle of the day, so why is this? So this is called a panic blood moon, and this is because Breath of the Wild is an open-world exploration game. You can go anywhere. There's not a lot of loading screens and stuff. You can fell trees, you can break barrels, you can pull chests out of the ground, you can kill enemies and they drop their weapons and their monster parts, and it all just lands on the ground, and the game is keeping track of with the positions of all these objects, and it has all that stuff stored in its RAM, so that memory gets full after a while, and so the game needs to dump that memory, and this is called a blood moon. They reset the world, reset the position of all the stuff, that regrows all the trees and stuff to put it back to a neutral state so that the game doesn't crash, basically. So this is why we're able to do all these things, is because it wipes the RAM every once in a while. Now, this just happens on a regular schedule, or it will just make that night happen a little bit sooner, but if you have too many objects, it'll just force it to happen right away, regardless of time of day, and that is a panic blood moon that I just experienced.
Hero of Hyrule, chosen by the sword that seals the darkness. You have shown unflinching bravery and skill in the face of darkness and adversity, and have proven yourself worthy of the blessings of the goddess Hylia. Whether skyward bound, adrift in time, or steeped in the glowing embers of twilight, the sacred blade is forever bound to the soul of the hero. We pray for your protection, and we hope that the two of you will grow stronger together as one. Forged in the long distant past, the sword.
Gee, this is uplifting. She's making it sound like we already lost.
Wasn't this your idea? You're the one who wanted to designate the appointed night with all the ceremonial pomp, grandeur, and nonsense we could muster. And if you ask me, the whole thing does seem to be overkill. I think I'm on the same page as the princess regarding this boy.
Oh, give it a rest. That boy is a living reminder of her own failures. Well, at least that's how the princess sees him.
So anyway, going back to what I was saying, a blood moon will happen regularly on its own because the game is trying to wipe the Sheikah slate clean, so to speak, so if you're patient, it'll just happen all on its own. But you know what? This is an adventure game! I didn't fire up Breath of the Wild just so I could wait around for something like that to happen. No way! I'm gonna make my game sweat shoe jelly. So, if you want to be that guy and cause a bunch of drama for your game, and for whatever reason you want to have a panic blood moon because you want to farm blizzard rods sooner rather than later or something, I don't know, then all you have to do is just create a bunch of objects. Now, I think one of the easiest places in the game to get started on that process is to go to Satori Mountain in the top right corner. There is an apple orchard there, and if you blow up all the trees with bombs, but you quite specifically do not loot the 130 apples there, then what will happen is we have so many objects, and your game will be very stressed out. But that'll be a good start anyways towards creating objects. Then kill enemies, don't loot their monster parts on purpose, and just let it roll around and blow up trees in passing, just that, all that kind of stuff. Just be irresponsible, and the game will hate you, and then it'll force a panic blood moon to happen. Anyway, going back to talking about Sacred Ground Ruins, you want to make sure that you collect the memory for the Subdued ceremony, and then in the bottom right corner of this area there is a chest there for DLC only, which has the Phantom Armor. So next we're working our way towards the northwest corner of Hyrule Field, and in order to get there, there's a couple different ways you can do that. Probably one of the simplest ways is to actually come from the Ridgeland Tower, and then from there you can then work your way to the right, and that would be a pretty safe bet. You just jump across the water or follow the road, and that would get you over here pretty easily. Otherwise, a lot of the areas in northern Hyrule Field has a lot of Guardian Stalkers, and these can be kind of scary to get past, especially if you're doing this just after the Great Plateau. As I was saying earlier, if you have the DLC, it's a pretty solid option to just, as soon as you leave the Great Plateau, come here immediately, and you can get the Phantom set in particular. I think is super worthwhile at that point. So if it's one of the first things you're doing, it's pretty awesome to come through here, but at that point you probably only have like 4 hearts and like no weapons at all. You're using like local clubs. So the chances of you taking down a Guardian Stalker are kind of slim at that point. Anyways, if you're scared running through here, that's one option, is just go swing really wide of them. Otherwise, I think a nice option is to go right through here, right through the middle of this wall. You can then follow the wall, and there is a Guardian Stalker on the other side that'll probably see you. One thing I think is kind of fun is you can like dip down into this like area of the wall where there's a chest containing bomb arrows. Those are valuable anyways, you can grab them. One of the things I think is kind of fun is if that Guardian Stalker is just outside, you can just like hop out there, attack some legs, and hop back in. You are totally safe here, so it can't really attack you very well. But anyways, if you don't want to deal with them, all you have to do is climb on top of the wall, and then from here you can walk along it, and it's pretty safe. You don't have to worry about the guardians very much. And if you are worried about them, all you have to do is duck down, and they can't see you. But yeah, you get the idea. There's all these hills with these little walls in between them, and I think they're really great. Like, it's super easy to get through here. It's pretty safe. If any of the guardians see you, you can just duck down, and these decayed guardians in particular won't be able to shoot you from there, which is great. So you're totally safe. Everything's fine. But in particular, I think this is awesome if you're coming here just after the Great Plateau, because it's a pretty safe way of getting through here, and you get a bunch of arrows along the way. Most of these walls have chests with arrows on them, and a lot of them are actually bomb arrows, which are very expensive. And that's a big chunk of damage early on, just so you know. But anyways, make sure you grab the Katachuki Shrine as long as we're passing through. This particular one is a minor test of strength. I'm just going to fast forward through this. I'm not going to bother showing it. You get the idea. It's just an easy one, so I'm going to pwn this guy, and then we're going to continue onwards. I don't always play Breath of the Wild, but when I do, I like to use interactive maps because then I can just place some of these colored pins on there and they disappear as soon as you arrive anyways, which is super convenient. So I place a pin just to mark the location. In this case, for example, this blue one is marking the location of a Korok seed and a chest below containing bomb arrows. So once I arrive, the pin disappears and it's just kind of nice and I get all the things and I move on. So I like to make breadcrumb trails like on my way towards the next destination. So I just kind of see what's on the map that's in the convenient vicinity. But I'm not collecting everything. I'm not getting all the Korok seeds, I'm not getting all the chests, I'm just getting the ones that are higher rupee value and some of the Koroks that are convenient. I'm not going to go super far out of my way to get everything, but whatever you want to do, if you want to go super far out of your way to get stuff, then more power to you, but this is one of the ways that I like to do it when I'm playing this game, is I just do several pins in a row on my way to the next destination. I haven't been showing most of these overworld puzzles, and I've been not showing most of the Koroks I've been collecting because I feel like they're kind of redundant. I feel like I've talked about most of the Korok types, but there's a couple different types of puzzles that are in the overworld that I just want to explain so that you know what all your various options are. For example, up ahead there is one of those stone plates that's in the water, and you can move it by either using stasis on it and smacking it with weapons, you can lift it up with octo balloons, or you can simply use magnesis on the chest that's underneath. That's what we're trying to reach anyways, but because it's in the water and the water is slanted underneath, all you have to do is just back up far enough that you can see underneath the plate, and you can just magnesis the chest directly. You don't have to move the platform. In fact, you can move the platform with the magnesis chest, and so this will allow you to reach the 5 bomb arrows that it has within it. But yeah, you get the idea. I'm just collecting some of the more valuable chests, the bomb arrow chest in particular, and some Koroks along the way as I'm working my way towards the northwest, which leads to the Castletown prison. And as long as you're here, you should totally grab the chest that's on the right side that contains an ancient arrow. These things are really valuable, and you don't see them very often, so they're pretty rare, and so especially for convenient ones like this, you should totally grab it. Very expensive and stuff, you should grab this thing. So it's on top of a corner wall thing. This is like Hyrule's version of L couches, I guess. Those things are awesome, by the way. But yeah, this is like Hyrule's version of that. Next best thing. You know, what post-Calamity, this is all we got. Just a little bit west of that, there is another chest that is buried in the ground. You want to use magnesis to pull it up, and it contains the Tingle Tights. Now, I was thinking to myself that I wasn't too worried about coming over here because the stalker wouldn't be able to see me anyways, and I could just hide behind these little pillars and stuff. But apparently these do not block line of sight, so this did not save me at all. So that was unfortunate. So instead I had to run away. Now, alternatively, though, too, you could just warp away, too, if you don't want to deal with it, too. But if I was going to do that, it would have made sense to unlock the shrine in the bottom left first. Yeah, you like that? You like that? By the way, bloody sword. So next in the southwest corner of this area, there is the Noyaneha Shrine, which you just need to burn the vines to gain access to. I think technically you don't have to. If you blow it up with like a bomb arrow or something like that and sail in there, you could just do it directly and just fly over the vines entirely. But if you want to burn them, it's pretty easy to do. Just use a fire arrow would be the easiest thing. Otherwise, lay down some wood right next to it and then set that on fire with a fire weapon, and then that will set those on fire too. But otherwise, they do have some nearby explosive barrels, which is kind of fun. You just don't normally get the opportunity to do this, so I think it's kind of cool that you can even do that. Break it with anything you want. I like to use bombs. It doesn't really matter. They're just bombs are free. I'm not wasting items doing that. But there you go. Boom! So once you've destroyed the environment once, you can do it a second time to gain access to the Noyaneha Shrine, as well as a cave that promotes arson. Now, I'm not going to actually bother showing this particular shrine because it's another one of those minor tests of strength, so I'm going to destroy this super fast, so I'm just going to skip over it and I'm not going to show this recording at all. But yes, I completed this shrine at this time. Alright, so on the west side of Central Hyrule, there is one more item that I have yet to grab. I was taking an efficient path that got most of the items along the way, but this particular one is a little bit more out of the way, so it didn't really follow that path very well, so that's why I'm getting it separately. Anyways, the easiest way to get to it is to go to Central Hyrule and go to the Central Tower and then work your way west. Now, there's a bunch of decayed guardians around here. The first time you arrive here, it's probably pretty terrifying to try and dodge these guys. It's really not that bad to get through here. All you need to do is just keep, like, dropping down over and over again for that first part. and then once you get over here, you can just keep walking back and forth. Summon a horse if you have the option, otherwise make a run for the west until you reach Sage Temple Ruins. It's really not that hard to get to. You can go to the Ancient Tree Stump as well to get a Great Flame Blade along the way if you want to. Again, I don't really think that the Great Flame Blades are all that great of an item. I think that other flame weapons are better for multiple reasons, so I would rather have one of those instead. Anyways, work your way over to the west. Once you reach Sage Temple Ruins, this whole area is in shallow water, so you can actually run through here even with your horse if you want to. One quick note about it, though, is that there is a Lizalfos in the middle that's on top of like a second story of one of the ruins, and it will shoot shock arrows at you if you get too close. So what I recommend you do is just swing around wide to the north side and then work your way over to the west, which is where the DLC chest is. It's kind of right in the middle of one of the foundations, and you just use Magnesis on it to pull it up. So pretty easy to find. So this particular item is Midna's helmet, which has a whopping 7 armor on it, which is pretty awesome, although we did just get the Phantom Helm, which has 8 armor on it, and the buff on that is more useful in my opinion. Midna's helmet has Guardian Resist Up, which will also reduce Guardian damage from lasers, and I think Guardian weapons as well, by 20% after it calculates all of the armor. So it subtracts all the amounts from armor, and then it will calculate how much damage is remaining, and it will reduce it by another 20% on top of that, which is pretty cool, just for Guardian stuff though, not for other things. And that is nice. Like I say, the Phantom Helmet has a little bit more armor, but the buff on it I think is more useful for most of the game. And just so you know, like, sure, this reduces damage by a percentage, which is kind of neat on top of everything else. However, if you have enough armor, then that accomplishes the exact same thing. So, ironically enough, if you leave the Great Plateau and you only have 3 or 4 hearts, and then you come here first and you get this item because you're thinking, yeah, this will help me survive all the Guardians here, I don't think that's actually true. I think they do enough damage that they'll still one-shot you with that few hearts at that point. So, even if you're coming here early, I don't think this item is the right choice to get. I think you're still better off getting the Phantom Helm in general. But just so you know, if you're really worried about Guardians and coming here early, you're better off getting a bunch of armor buffs. So if you get a bunch of tough stuff, you can get to tier 3 tough buff, then what that'll do is gives you 24 armor, which reduces incoming damage by 6 hearts. And that on top of all the other armor that you already have will reduce it down to quarter heart damage, so you can just run through here and you don't have to worry about the stalkers at all. Like, they can't hurt you. Like, literally, you can just apple through everything. So anyways, armor is a much more valuable thing, and I think that's much superior. So I feel like Midna's helmet is a pretty bad DLC item in general. So that all being said, I think this is not a good item, and I will be selling it as soon as possible. The main reason for wearing it is just for cool points, in my opinion. It's strictly focused on defensive stuff. However, you can accomplish the same thing with food quite easily, and other items are just better in slot. And also the buff from the Phantom Helm is just better for the entirety of the game, while this one is simply not. So there is, I think there's like minor nuances where it could be useful, but I don't really think it's worth your time in general. So grab it if you wish, doesn't really matter. So next, I'm heading over to the right side of Central Hyrule, and I'm warping over to Wetland Stable because it's the closest one, and then heading to the woods across the river and to the southwest. Here you'll find a memory that's pretty easy to spot, and it is related to picture number 12 in your Sheikah Slate, and this is titled Despair.
How did it come to this? The divine beasts, the guardians, they've all turned against us. It was Calamity Ganon. It turned them all against us. And everyone, Mifa, Urbosa, Rivali and Daruk, they're all trapped inside those things. It's all my fault. Our only hope for defeating Ganon is lost, all because I couldn't harness this cursed power. Everything I've done up until now, it was all for nothing. So I really am just a failure. All my friends, the entire kingdom, my father most of all. I tried and I failed them all. I left them all to die.
So kind of my priority for this walkthrough has been to unlock key locations, you know, Zora's Domain, Rito Village, you know, all that kind of stuff, Kakariko, Hateno, Akala, getting access to all those, getting access to other warp points to conveniently go across the world, and also to gain us access to farming locations, both for weapons and materials. And then my next priority is getting all of the armors, both the regular game and the DLC items, to unlock all those stuff as soon as possible so you can start working on it. So that's been kind of my priority. But now we're starting to get towards the end where I have most of the armors. There's still a bunch left in Gerudo Desert, so you can look forward to that. I'll be going into that super in depth. But as far as remaining stuff, my next priority after that is going to be getting all the remaining shrines, the memories, and completing all the various side quests. Side quests are the lowest priority. Now in this particular video, it was mostly getting armors. However, we did get all the remaining shrines here in Central Hyrule that I haven't gotten yet. And we also completed several of the other side quests and got all of their memories. So all that's left is like 2 side quests, and that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and tack those on here at the end of the video. This is the lowest priority of the things in this particular video, but I am showing how to do this. I did get My Hero was here at Outskirts Stable, so was the Royal White Stallion quest, which I completed in an earlier video. So refer to the link in the description if you'd like to see how to do that particular video. I already completed a long time ago. The next quest we're going to complete here is a rare find. You speak with Trotz here. He's looking for gourmet meat, which is basically found in Hebra, is the easiest place to do that. Basically kill wolves or the big like rhinoceros things, or like the moose kind of things are up there. All that kind of stuff will give you gourmet meat. Now, gourmet meat normally sells for 35 rupees. However, this guy will buy it for 100 rupees, which is a better value. Even compared to cooking gourmet meat, this is a better value. However, he'll only buy up to 3 per day. However, all you have to do is you can sleep at the nearby campfire and make it the next day, and then you can sell him 3 more. So in this way, you can make rupees pretty quickly if you want to farm gourmet meat, and it's overall a better value compared to frying them up yourself. So whatever you want to do, you can optionally do that. I just showed it a little bit real quick just to complete that quest and to show that it's an option for making money. I don't think it's the best way to make money, but whatever you want to do. Next, head over to Riverside Stable and we'll get the next quest. But yeah, as far as gourmet meat goes, I would say overall that it is better to hang on to it. I did want to do a couple of these just to show the fact that you could even do that here. However, I think it's better to hang on to it because if you fry them up, then they'll heal you for a whopping 4.5 hearts, I believe, off the top of my head. Which, and they stack up to 99. So if you sear up a whole bunch of them by just throwing them on top of a campfire as opposed to cooking them into a meal, then you'll use less slots in your cooking ingredients, and it's kind of like how I've been eating apples the whole walkthrough, but it's even better than that. So gourmet meat is very valuable, and I'd highly recommend you sear it, and that's kind of more of a late game thing that you can do, but you can give yourself a lot of really good healing just to finish yourself off. If you use a meal to heal yourself most of the way or whatever, and then you can just eat 1 or 2 gourmet seared meat, it's pretty darn good. Now, before we head to Hyrule Castle, one thing you can do real quick is get the Royal Recipe quest. You can do this by going to Riverside Stable and speaking with Goddard, who is curious at what kind of cuisine the royal family used to eat 100 years ago before the calamity happened. So he's just super curious on what it could possibly be. So if you talk to him right now, it'll give you a quest to kind of point you in the right direction and remind you to look for the recipe when you are in Hyrule Castle. I'll be showing how to do that, but just so you know, if you already know what the recipe is, you can make it right now. You don't have to go to Hyrule Castle first. So if you fry it up, you can then give him the recipe right now, and then that will complete the quest. I'm going to put the recipes for those on screen. Just a quick note about the fruitcake. It does require 2 different fruits. The recipe recommends apples and wild berries, which are cheap ingredients, so I'd recommend you use those if you have them. However, you are not limited to those particular fruit. You can swap those 2 for any other fruit as long as you have 2 different ones to complete that particular recipe. So I'm going to put those on screen. You can go ahead and do it and complete it if you want. I'm going to be doing it in the normal chronological order. One of the reasons for this is actually just because there's another quest that we have to go to Hyrule Castle for first, and then come back here and we'll complete that quest anyway, so I figured I'd do both of those at the same time. Now, before we continue on, I would highly recommend you get some Blizzard Rods. So there's 2 places you can go for that. There is the Namaka Oz Shrine on top of Crennel Hills, and there's also the Goma Asag Shrine on top of Hebra. So if you go to both of those locations, you can kill the Blizzrobes there by shooting them with a fire arrow. Now, alternatively, you can also throw down a campfire, light the tip of a regular arrow, and shoot them if you are out of fire arrows. Alternatively, you can also just throw a fire weapon at them, and that will destroy them as well instantaneously. So that's the easiest way to kill them. Get the Blizzard Rods. Blizzard Rods are awesome. That is the biggest tip I can give you to get through Hyrule Castle easily. Now, as a reminder, whenever you freeze enemies with a Blizzard Rod, you want to hit them with a physical weapon that hits really hard. So a 2-hander, in other words. As far as an easy 2-hander you can get, I would highly recommend a Royal Claymore if you don't have access to high-tier Lionel weapons. And an easy way to get one of those is to go to the top of the Woodland Tower. You climb on top of the skull, and there's a Royal Claymore there. But yeah, with those things in hand, we have everything we need to head to Hyrule Castle, which is what I will be doing in the next video. So, as always, a huge thanks goes out to all of my Patreon supporters for helping to make this possible. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to throw a like on it, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content just like this. Remember to stay awesome, you have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.